Spider-Man 1991 here, and I like to read comic books. So I'm going to talk about the comic books I read for the week of August 13th, 2014. Let's get started from DC with what I got from DC Comics with Batman number 34. This is a pretty self-contained story. Batman's just basically going after a serial killer whose victims are patients of Dr. Leslie Tompkins, an old friend of Batman who's appeared in the series occasionally. Basically the story is very self-contained. You can just get right on. Pretty much, I think this is a good thing to have after we've had that super long story arc 0 year. It's good that we have Batman back in the present. Also, a story that's you can just read and pick up this issue, read it, and be done with it. Because next month we have Futures End tie-in. Then I believe after that we're going to start another story arc. So it's good to have like a sort of interlude, one-shot story. I would definitely recommend people who are probably new to comics, who haven't been checking out Batman, to pick up this issue because it's, like I said, self-contained. I think Scott Snyder is still doing a terrific job writing this series. I did enjoy 0 year. I enjoyed all his work prior to that on Batman, and this is definitely something that goes up there. Overall, Batman number 34, very awesome book. Definitely my DC comic pick of the week. Okay, next up we have Batman Eternal number 19. Okay, so basically Batgirl is being mind controlled by this guy named Dr. Falsario, and apparently Falsario's tricking Batgirl into believing that Red Hood is Joker and Batwoman is James Gordon Jr. And because of that, Batgirl's attacking them. Mostly Red Hood fights Batgirl and tries to get Gary to break the control over her, which he eventually does. And also Batwoman goes after Falsario, and we hear from his dialogue that apparently he was the one responsible for making Jim Gordon see a gun when back in Batman Eternal issue 1, which caused Jim Gordon to think that the suspect was armed, shoot him, and then caused the entire train accident that landed him in Blackgate. Also, speaking of Gordon and Blackgate, he deals with for this issue, Jim Gordon deals with a prison riot that's going on between the Penguin's men and Carmine Falcone's men. And also deep beneath the Gotham sewers, Batman, Lieutenant Bard, and Killer Croc find the missing girl that they were searching for back in issue 18, who's apparently held captive by the Ten-Eyed Man. Okay, Batman Eternal. It's a weekly series, so there's a lot going on here. Right now, it's not really unlike Batman number 34, this isn't really jump-on friendly. It does have a lot going for it, I will say that. The series does have a lot going for it, but to be honest, this is kind of an average. This felt like an average read for me. So if you like having a Batman comic every week, then definitely get Batman Eternal. Alright, next up, Justice League United number 4, the end to the first story arc. Adam Strange is apparently stuck on Rand because of the Zeta Beam feedback between him and his wife Alana. Because if you read last issue, you know that because of their exposure to a Zeta Beam, they apparently switch places with one another. So now, until they can fix it, Adam Strange has to remain on Rand. When the rest of the heroes get back to Earth, Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, Stargirl, Green Arrow, Animal Man, when they get back to Earth, they kind of decide, you know what, this place, this Rand outpost that they built on Earth is pretty much abandoned. This would make a great base. We should form a team together. And Martian Manhunter says that's a good idea. We should form a team that's basically trying to represent the standards that heroes should act, instead of legion themselves to one government, because the base is in Canada. So Animal Man first makes a joke saying, well, we're going to call ourselves Justice League of Canada. But Martian Manhunter says, no, we can't align ourselves with just one nationality. So Stargirl says, Justice League United. And that's how their team is formed. And right after they decide to make themselves a new team, Alana busts into the bunker carrying an unconscious girl who has made occasional appearances in this series, but she's apparently now making her starting to make her full appearance. The new superhero that Jeff Lemire created for this title, Equinox. So now the team's going to meet Equinox, and that's basically where the issue ends. Okay, I think Jeff Lemire's doing a good job on this title. He's doing a good job showing how how some team members have chemistry and stuff. How Green Arrow and Ant-Man kind of have that buddy rivalry sort of thing. Also, he does a good job writing Martian Manhunter as a leader. I thought the way Martian Manhunter kind of united the heroes was definitely good writing on Jeff Lemire's part. So yeah, overall, I think if you like Jeff Lemire and you like any of the characters that are featured in this title, then you should give Justice League United a shot. Next up, time for Marvel with one of my favorite titles, Amazing Spider-Man #5. Peter's adventure with Silk is cut short when he has to go make an appearance for a TV interview to talk about his new company, Parker Industries. Originally, his business partner Sanjin was supposed to go there, but she was kidnapped by Electro and Black Cat, and so now Peter has to go in her place. And when he gets there, he sees that Jameson now works there with his own show, and during the televised interview, Black Cat and Electro attack the studio, trying to get Spider-Man's attention. And fortunately, though, Silk she went with Peter as Sydney, is able to distract Electro and Black Cat, giving Peter enough time to change to a spider suit. Unfortunately, though, during the fight, due to Black Cat's luck powers, Spider-Man gets struck by Electro's bolt, and right when that happens, Black Cat grabs him, and she gets ready to unmask him on TV with J. Jonah Jameson ordering the people to still film, and him getting ready to introduce the world to the unmasking of the Amazing Spider-Man. Okay, first of all, let me just say that ending, obviously, they're not going to unmask Peter. Like, next issue, something's going to happen, but it is kind of funny seeing Jameson thinking, like, I'm so close, I'm finally going to get Spider-Man, and then next issue knowing that it's not going to happen, he's going to have another classic J. Jonah Jameson hissy fit. But yeah, there are some funny moments in this issue, such as when Anne-Marie comes to the apartment and she finds Peter with Silk. Okay, first of all, last issue it ended with them kind of making out and being intimate because of somehow their spider senses being in sync with one another, I believe. And first, Peter stops when they're on the rooftop and tries to keep his mask on, but she says she knows. But apparently, Silk already knows that he's Spider-Man as Peter Parker. Then when they go back to the apartment, they almost get intimate again. Then Anne-Marie comes in. Of course, she's not dating Peter, and of course, she's kind of suspicious she finds it weird, and Peter tries explaining it to her, but they have to go leave for the TV interview. It's good that we see J. Jonah Jameson out of the mayor's office, kind of back to being in journalism, trying to take down Spider-Man, because that's something he says when he's talking to Peter about his new show on the Fact Channel, which is the TV station he's working at, is that he's trying to... he says he's going to try to take Spider-Man down again the old-fashioned way and stuff like that. And also, there was another scene in this book where we see Black Cat trying to sort of muscle in on some mob territory. She's trying to take over some territory in New York City. So it is interesting to see Black Cat moving from cat burglar to crime boss. And obviously, she's got Electro backing her up, so she's definitely thinking things through now. Okay, and also, it's good that this issue still has a lot going on for it. We've got Silk, who came out from Original Sin, and apparently I believe she's gonna be a big player for Spider-Verse, which is gonna be coming out soon. And of course, we still have the Black Cat and Electro story arc going on right now. So I think probably next issue they're gonna try to. Dan Slott's probably going to try to wrap up the Black Cat and Electro story arc, and then we're going to be able to move into then we're pretty much going to easily transition into Spider-Verse thanks to the new character Silk. So yeah, overall, Amazing Spider-Man, another fantastic issue. I think Dan Slott's doing a great job on this title. This is definitely something that I think a lot of people should pick up. It's definitely one of my favorite Marvel titles, and I recommend it almost every time I talk about it. Okay, moving on. Captain America, #23. Alright, it turns out the mysterious figure that came with Zola's army and was headed towards Avengers Mansion last issue is Steve's adopted son, Ian Rogers. Called it. And and basically Ian's a lot older now, as you can tell. He's like a I would say Ian is almost as old as Steve was before he had the super soldier serum drained out of him. And it's interesting because now Steve's an old man. So that's interesting. And also, basically, Ian kind of informs Steve that he went to try to infiltrate Zola's army and try to prevent the invasion and stuff. And also he survived because the vat he fell into was apparently Zola's clay, which helped him regenerate and stuff. And anyways, basically Steve and the Avengers agree to work with Ian, and Ian pretty much leads the Avengers to attack Zola's army. And apparently there are new hyper mutates that Zola created, who are basically mutated versions of the four Avengers in this title: Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, and Thor. Like, just some weird mutated versions of them. And meanwhile, while Ian and Steve were working with the Avengers, Falcon and Jet Black have decided to head into Zola's base on their own. And when they get in there, they take out a couple of guards and they open a prison cell to find Sharon Carter, who hasn't aged at all. Okay, so Captain America number 23. Ian Rogers is back. I kind of knew that. I think it's safe to say we all kind of knew Ian was going to come back in this. But to be honest, when they announced a new Captain America and I knew Ian was coming back, I first thought that it would have been Ian to replace Steve as Captain America, but then they revealed that it was the new Captain America is going to be the Falcon. Not bad. But I guess this kind of means that I think at the end of this story arc, Rick Remender is probably going to have Ian and Jet go back into Dimension Z, I guess, somehow. Like, I mean, maybe they're going to stop. Maybe the only way to send Zola back is if they sacrifice themselves, or they're going to go back to Dimension Z to help with the recovery effort and stuff like that. But yeah, I get the feeling that at the end of the story arc, the characters Ian Rogers and Jet Black are going to be written out. Also, the whole Sharon Carter. I think the whole Sharon Carter reappearance is going to be a little awkward for her. Probably seeing Steve showing his true age now. So I think that will be interesting to see once we get past all this. But yeah, I believe in a couple of issues, Captain America number 25. That's when Falcon's going to take over as Captain America. So I believe this Zola story arc is probably going to wrap up next issue. Overall, I think this is a story arc that you're probably going to need to read the beginning of the Captain America series by Rick Remender in order to understand fully what's going on. Otherwise, you can probably just wait for the trade for this. Next up, Fantastic Four, number 8. Things are not looking good for the Fantastic Four. Ben Grimm is arrested, just got arrested in this issue, and he's now being sent to the East Wing of Rikers, where apparently they keep all the overly superpowered strong guys. And also, after Sue's outburst and fight with the Avengers, Reed and Sue end up leaving New York City and going to... Well, actually, let me get back to Sue's outburst with the Avengers, which we saw started last couple of issues. When Sue tried to take on the Avengers by herself, eventually she's able to get calmed down when she's paid a visit by Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch, who's also looking after the Future Foundation kids while they're in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s custody. And basically, Jim talks to Sue and kind of eases her mind, like saying, like, don't worry, I'm in charge of the kids. I also have Alex Power helping me out, so everything's going to be fine. So that gets Sue to calm down. And in the present, Reed and Sue decide to leave New York City. They head to Lake Michigan, where apparently they were able to get a job working for this guy named John Eden, who's a friend of Tony Stark's, and he's building this sort of like environmentally friendly, technologically centered city near Lake Michigan, and that's where Sue and Reed decide to work. Also, Johnny Storm, because he lost his powers, his record label has decided to cancel his tour. So yeah, things are not looking good for the Fantastic Four. Just everything is going downhill for them. Ben's arrested. Johnny is no longer finding without his powers. He's probably no longer famous. Also, Sue Sue and Reed lost their kids. It's very sad. So yeah, things aren't really looking well for the Fantastic Four. We don't exactly know what's exactly the cause. Cause there's this overall feeling that someone is behind all this. Like there's basically no one on the team is really thinking that this is all coincidence. That it's someone's behind all this. So we don't know who. Also, I get the feeling that when this story arc is going to conclude itself, we're going to have some involvement from Reed and Sue's daughter, Valerie, who went to go live with Doctor Doom at the end of the previous Fantastic Four series. So I think that what's going to happen is once Valerie maybe gets involved with the title and her family again, that will probably lead into the whole things getting better. The Fantastic Four, Ben will probably get pardoned, get his innocence proven. Johnny will get his powers back, and things will be back to normal for the Fantastic Four. But yeah, overall, this is very interesting stuff. If you're a fan of stories where it seems like the heroes are starting to lose and things aren't looking good for them, definitely check this out because this is definitely an interesting story. Right now, also, it looks like the Fantastic Four is separated right now because there really hasn't been, ever since Johnny's loss of powers in the trial, there really hasn't been that much interaction between the four of them. So yeah, that's very interesting for this title as well. So if you like any of those stories, if you really do like the Fantastic Four, I definitely recommend you should give this series a try. Moving on. Nightcrawler, number 5. The first day of Nightcrawler being a teacher at the Jean Grey School. Basically, Kurt, with some help from Rachel Gray, teaches a combat class in the Danger Room. Then later that night, when he's repairing the Blackbird, one of his students, Rico, a dude who looks like a giant bug, comes and talks to Kurt. And well, actually, no, he's not. He doesn't look like a bug. He looks kind of like a scorpion. Anyways, he helps Kurt repair the Blackbird, and they kind of bond, strike up a friendship. And Kurt asks Rico to go with him on a test ride for the recently repaired plane, and they take it for a test flight. And then Kurt gets a call from Storm saying there's a new mutant power within your vicinity. Can you check it out? And Kurt says yeah. But Kurt and Rico aren't the only ones going after the new mutant, because apparently there are these space pirates who are also going after this new mutant girl who apparently has the ability to somehow control technology and stuff. So yeah, okay. So again, this book, I feel like we're still kind of introducing what's going to be the status quo for Nightcrawler's series. It feels like what Chris Claremont's going to do is he's going to introduce some new mutants, and I think these new young mutants are probably going to be part of sort of an exclusive team or class that Kurt's going to be in charge of at the Jean Grey School, and that's kind of going to be what his support cast will be. So it looks kind of interesting. I will say, if you like Nightcrawler, if he's your favorite X-Man, then this is definitely a title you should definitely pick up. Only thing that I don't like is how, I don't know, the involvement of these Kurt and Rico go after a new mutant, and also for some reason she's being hunted by space pirates. That just kind of felt a little random to me. I mean, yeah, I know the X-Men have dealt with space stuff before, like the Shi'ar and the Brood, etc. But I feel like the X-Men stories probably work better when it's on Earth and they're dealing with, mutant problems, if you know what I mean. But that's not to say that this book isn't bad. It's okay, but I think that hardcore Nightcrawler fans and hardcore Chris Claremont fans are probably going to enjoy it a lot more than just the casual X-Men fans. So yeah, if you're any type of the people I just described, then definitely check out Nightcrawler. Okay, and we're now at our last comic, which is Spider-Man 2099. But I've started Marvel with Amazing Spider-Man, now I'm ending with Spider-Man 2099. Anyways, Spider-Man 2099. The issue opens up with Miguel stopping a bank robbery that he had to deal with when he went to go deposit his paycheck. And afterwards, after he defeats the bank robbers, he kind of goes, I'll deposit my check later. Then when he gets back to his apartment building, he tries to thank his building super, who we met last issue, with some flowers. And when he does that, she slams the door in his face, and then she opens up the door again, lets him in, and they talk for a bit. But then Miguel kind of notices that she has like a lot of these medical bills lying around, and he like asks her like, how sick are you, what's wrong with you, and at that point she kicks him out. Then when Miguel returns to his apartment, there's Liz Allen, one of the CEOs of Alchemex, and and so basically Liz starts, and when Miguel lets her in, he starts talking to Liz, and Liz starts to ask him a bunch of questions, and starts to tells him that yesterday after the Spider-Man the other Spider-Man incident, we've looked at everyone's backgrounds, and apparently she says that your identity, the Michael O'Mara identity he uses, is apparently fake, and she's just giving you a heads up. If he doesn't tell her the truth now, then she'll call the cops and everything, and it's going to be this whole big thing. And so Miguel basically, and also she accuses him of being the new Spider-Man, the Spider-Man 2099, and basically when that happens, Miguel is like, wait, and he pretty much changes his clothes via his holographic technology into like some sort of futuristic Tron-like outfit, and it says basically, my name is Miguel O'Hara, I'm from the year 2099, Tiberius Stone's my grandfather, and I'm just here, and after I saved his life, I stayed to make sure he can live up to his full potential and stuff. So basically, then Miguel says, okay, what do you want from me? And at that point, Liz just kisses him, and then she leaves. And afterwards he changes back to his regular clothes. Then his building super comes in again, and she tells him, and she apologizes for being rude to him, and also like tells him that she has leukemia and stuff, and they kind of strike up a sort of a friendship right there, and then she leaves, and that's where the issue ends. Okay, this issue wasn't really focused on superheroics as the last issue was. Basically, this one's kind of more about Miguel building a relationship with his the support cast of his book. In this case, there's building Super, Tempest. Yeah, that's her name, Tempest, and he's trying to be friends with her, trying to be nice, but she doesn't. But she's suspicious of him, and she doesn't really like that. So, but at the same time, at the end, we see that she does kind of reciprocate his feelings a bit. And also, there's Liz Allen, and this is kind of weird seeing Liz Allen in a sort of supervillain type role. Well, I mean, Liz isn't really a supervillain, but she is trying to sort of make. But as we saw last issue, when she realized there could be that, when she comes with the theory that the new Spider-Man is obviously one of her employees, so she thinks that if there's a superhero on our payroll, I want him working for me, and she does try to find that out through Miguel. And obviously, in order to make sure that he's not revealed as the new Spider-Man, he tells Liz that he's from the future, since obviously she could tell his background was fake, and she decides to keep it a secret. I have no idea what that kiss means. We're probably gonna deal with it later. It's really strange. This is definitely not the same Liz Allen that I believe we've been reading throughout the Spider-Man series ever since it began. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting, and I like the way Peter David writes this book. I like how for the first issue, it was basically Miguel dealing with some guy from the future trying to kill him. That now in this issue, it's kind of laid back. It's more dealing with Miguel and the relationships in his life in the present. So, you know, I think that's a nice change of pace. It's definitely not really something that they do too often in most superhero titles, but it's great. I think Peter David does a good job on this. He definitely has some humor in it, such as when after Liz leaves and Miguel changes to his regular clothes, his holographic assistant Lila asks him, "Why'd you have me make such a weird outfit?" He says, "That's because that's what people think we're going to dress like in the future," which clearly they don't. So yeah. Overall, this series had some very funny moments. This issue definitely not really focused on the superhero heroics, and I think that's probably a good thing. And I think that's definitely something different, something that could be good for the series. So yeah, overall, Spider-Man 2099, still a great series. It's funny, has some action. Well, it did have some action in the beginning, but it wasn't really the focus of this issue. So, but anyways, Spider-Man 2099, still a great series. I love the first issue. I really like the second issue. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. check it out for a while. And I definitely recommend everyone else should too, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan. Okay? Alright, that's it for me. Thank you for watching my comic book review. If you like this video, check out some of my other reviews. I'm Spider-Man 1991 saying thanks for watching.